Hey everybody, it's MJ Conroy, aka Slithlord 066, coming to you for RogueDeckBuilder.com. Before I even get started, I want to let you know this is like my 9th time recording this. I've had nothing but issues, so I originally started this at like 3:45 in the morning. It's now 6:14 p.m. Obviously, I slept a lot of that time, but had some issues, some mistakes, and we're finally here. Um, Kevin emailed me or texted me, I can't remember, a few days ago that he was doing his top 10 and he wanted me to do a companion piece to do my top 10. Um, I argued that the cards aren't spoiled all the way yet, but he wanted me to do it now, so hey, that's what I'm going to do. So, as he stated in his video, this is just my top 10. I'm not saying that this is going to be the most powerful. I'm not saying that these are going to be the cards worth the most money. Once the full set gets spoiled, we are planning to do a podcast devoted to like the whole set and talking about like the hits, the misses, and all that fun stuff. But we'll do that once the whole set gets spoiled. For reference, as of right now that I'm doing this, 201 out of the 249 have been spoiled. So we've only got 48 cards left. But with that being said, let's get on to it. My number 10 is going to Lay of the Land. It's probably the most meager, unflashiest card on my list, but it is also probably one of the most important. And what that is Lay of the Land is for 1 green. It's a sorcery. You search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it in your hand, and then shuffle your library. It's just mana fixing. And I think mana fixing is a great thing, especially for 1 green. The fact, that it lets you get a basic land and not just a forest, I think is really, really good. It allows you to still continue to play these dual color decks once the buddy lands cycle out. So I think it's going to be a pretty good card. And I already will be slotting it into my land destruction deck. Coming in at number 9, for those of you who have played Duels of the Planeswalker 2014, you'd be familiar with this card. It's Liliana's Reaver. It's 2/2 black for a zombie that's a 4/3, and it has Death Touch, which I think is pretty close just to that alone being playable. But it also has, whenever it deals damage to a opponent, they're going to discard a card, which I think that puts it above playable. But then on top of that, you also put a 2/2 black zombie creature token on the battlefield tapped. So I think this card is actually kind of ridiculous. I'm slightly surprised it's not a mythic, to be honest. I mean, this is a very, very, very good card. It can block anything and kill it. It's going to kill something almost always, because nobody's going to really want to get that zombie into play. Well, not nobody, but most people aren't going to. So even if you chump it, it's still a very good card. Number 8 is a card that I just kind of want to build with. It's Shadowborn Apostle. Again, this is from the Duels 14 deck. Well, not deck, but it's one of the encounters, and playing that game showed me how good this card is. It's just a 1/1 human cleric. When you play him for a black, and you could have any amount of Shadowborn Apostles in your deck, just like Relentless Rats. I'm thinking about building one with about 15 to 20. But his ability is you tap a black and you sack 6 creatures named Shadowborn Apostle, and you put a demon into play from your library. So let's think about this in just the easiest terms possible. Turn 1, land, Apostle. Turn 2, 2 more Apostles. You have 3. Turn 3, 3 Apostles. You have 6. Turn 4, you tap 1, you sack all, and you have a turn 4 Grislebrand. Yeah. How are you coming back from that? If someone, insta-kills it, all you do is, in response, draw 7 cards. I'm sure at least 4 or 5 of those cards are going to be more Shadowborn Apostles. So just do it again. One of them's going to stick. I mean, you have to get pretty lucky to beat a turn 4 Grislebrand. So I'm really digging this card. Will it see standard? I don't know. I mean, I might just be, this is like, that's the god hand, but also, that's provided they have no answers or anything else. Number 7 is what's known as a hate card. For those of you not familiar with the color pie, basically each color has 2 opposing colors, that it's their natural enemies. And for green, the natural enemies are blue and black. So this is called Witchstalker. He's a 1 and 2 green wolf, 3/3 with hexproof, which is, again, pretty playable right there. But he has an ability that whenever an opponent casts a blue or black spell during your turn, you put a 1/1 counter on him. Which that makes, like, think twice as works. It makes, the creature kills got to be cast on their turn instant-wise. So, and they can't even target him, so they kill one of your dudes and he becomes a 4/4. It's very, I think, a very good card. I think it's actually, this one will probably be playable in standard. Coming in at number 6, I have a card that I used to call F Your Tokens, and it is Ratchet Bomb, a reprint that I so love. This is one of the cards that was a mainstay in my Pure Steel Paladin humans deck back when M12 was still legit. And what this is it's an artifact for 2, colorless, and you can tap it, and you put a charge counter on Ratchet Bomb. And then its second ability is you tap it, sack it, and you can destroy all non-land permanents with a converted mana cost equal to the number of charge counters on Ratchet Bomb. Now this does affect your permanents as well, so you want to be careful about that. But against a token strategy, which I'm sure people will be trying to do with, like, one of my other cards I'll in my top 10, as well as something like Aristocrats, or anything that uses Lingering Souls, or Intangible Virtues, or Sorens, or Garrick's, or blah, 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 blah. The list goes on and on and on. Basically, the reason I call it F Your Tokens is you just play it and sack it immediately, dealing, destroying all with 0. So I think this actually is a good answer to, more importantly than any of those cards I just named, is Voice of Resurgence. It's like, yeah, you got your 7/7, you got, your token master army, and I'm going to sack this for 2 and just destroy all of them. Seems good to me. Next we have number 5, which is the Archangel of Thune. Now this is, again, this is kind of one of those cards I kind of like. I've already come up with some juicy little combos with it, with Archangel of Thune and Mikaeus, and just token and counters. But anyway, if you don't know what it is, it's a 3 and 2 white angel. It's a 3/4 with flying and lifelink, which again is not quite playable, but its ability is. Whenever you gain life, you put a 1/1 counter on all creatures you control. So again, you can, attack with it, you put counters on everything, and then you go ahead and use Mikaeus, who will get a counter, and then tap him, and then put 1 more counter on everything but Mikaeus. And yeah, I could see this getting out of hand pretty quickly. Not to mention the fact that in Modern it has an infinite combo already with Spike Feeder. For those of you unaware what Spike Feeder is, don't quote me, but it's either like 1 and a green or 1 and 2 green or 3 or I don't know. But anyway, its second ability is you remove a counter from Spike Feeder and gain like 2 life, I think it is. So what you would do is, you remove a counter, you gain 2 life, then this triggers because you gain life and it puts a counter on Spike Feeder, then you remove that counter and then you gain an infinite, goes back and forth, you have infinite life. So yeah, it's a pretty good card. It is a little expensive. It probably might not see Modern play, but it could be interesting. 4 is the card that's most people's number ones, actually. And that is young Pyromancer. A lot of people, when this card was spoiled, this was also one of the first cards spoiled, so that might be why people had it as number 1 for so long. But it is definitely going to impact standard, I believe. It's 1 in a red for a human shaman. That's a 2/1, and whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, you put a 1/1 elemental token onto the battlefield, which is just, I mean, it's gonna slot into certain decks. The deck I see this kind of going into is Travis Wu. I have a feeling he will break this card, as well as my number 3 card, and I can't wait till he does. But I can see this actually just slotting straight into his Nivik Cyclops Izzet Blitz deck. I mean, I could see this replacing either Gutter Snipe or Electromancer, maybe. I don't know. Or even the what is it? I can't remember the name of the other card. He only runs like 4 creatures, I think. But yeah, this card is going to be ridiculously good. The other card I think he will probably break is my number 3, and I cannot wait. It's Xathrid Necromancer. And this card is like basically a Rotlung Reanimator 2.0. For those of you unfamiliar with Rotlung Reanimator, it was from like I want to say either the Judgment or Onslaught block. And it basically was a beast. It was like whenever a cleric died, you put a zombie into play. And this one's even better because there's not a lot of clerics. But this one's just, 2 in a black for a human wizard. He's a 2/2. And whenever he or any other human creature you control dies, put a 2/2 black zombie creature token onto the battlefield tapped. I could see this going immediately, I mean immediately, into Aristocrats. As well as just a black-white human deck, which I'm already messing around with in my head. Especially because my number 1 card is I'm going to build some sort of tribe. And when I get to that, you'll see why. And we're almost there, so not too much long of a wait to go. Anyway, my number 2 was actually my favorite card in this set until number 1 got spoiled. Number 2 is ridiculously powerful, and it's the reason that I think Garrick, the new Garrick, is just like utter trash. And the main reason is because if I have 6 mana, I'd rather be casting Primeval Bounty. And Primeval Bounty is basically the Planeswalker of enchantments. It's for 5 and a green, so it is a little expensive, but it's also in the color that ramps the quickest. And it's whenever you cast it basically, like I said, is the Planeswalker of enchantments because it has 3 abilities that all deal with the number 3. Whenever you cast a creature spell, you put a 3/3 green beast creature token onto the battlefield. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you put 3 1/1 counters on target creature you control. And whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you just gain 3 life. Now, I think all 3 of those abilities are actually much more powerful than the new Garrick's abilities, with the exception of maybe his ultimate. His ultimate is pretty ridiculous, but I can't see that happening very often. Now, the one thing you can say is, well, yeah, but when I play Garrick, at least I get 1 activation of his ability. Yes, this is very true. When you get Garrick, you're immediately going to be able to do his +1, which is like reveal top 5 or something like that. And then you put like creatures into your hand. So, I mean, it does give you a draw, and that's ridiculously powerful in green. I will admit that. But this card, Primeval Bounty, there is more main deck Planeswalker hate than there is main deck enchantment hate, 1. 2, this card will allow you to use all 3 abilities as many times as you can use them in a turn. Whereas Garrick, you're only using 1 of the abilities every turn. And they can't attack an enchantment is another thing. But basically, say, you put this out on turn 6. On turn 7, you lay a land, you gain 3 life, and then you play, an Arbor Elf, and you put a beast into play, and then you play another Arbor Elf, and you put another beast into play, and then you put on like Rancor onto the beast token, and then you put the 3/3 counters on said beast token, and now you have an 8/6 trampling beast with like, you know, yeah, I mean it's just gonna get ridiculous really quick. I think the card is just bonkers. And even if you say, well, you can't play it in standard, which I will probably try to prove people wrong. Especially, like I said, it's in green, so like you can ramp for days in green, especially with the new elf and everything. But it's definitely going to be a big impact in EDH. So, and then my final number one card is Door of Destinies, and oh my god, was I super like practically like jumping up and clicking heels happy when I saw this spoiled. This has been one of my favorite cards for all time. It is my absolute 100% favorite artifact of all time, and it's in my top 5 of all time. And the reason for this is, for those who don't know me, I almost insist on playing tribes. I love tribes. Humans, zombies, goblins, wizards, elves. I've played birds before. Like I love tribes. Synergy is just, it matters to me. I love it. And like I'm kind of crazy when it comes to tribes. Like my zombie EDH deck, I refuse to run Grave Titan because he's a giant, not a zombie. That's how like crazy I am with it. But Door of Destinies is like one of the greatest cards for those of you who like to run tribes. Basically, it's a 4-drop artifact, and when it comes into play, you basically name a creature type. And then every single time you play a creature of that type, you put a charge counter on it. And then all creatures of that type get +X/+X, where X is the amount of charge counters on Door of Destinies. It's better than Coat of Arms because it doesn't help your opponents. I was actually very upset to see that like there's no Sliver deck right now, because I was excited to hear Slivers were back. Slivers is also one of the best tribes, besides like rebels and like allies and zombies. Well, Slivers is pretty awesome, put it that way. They each give each other everything, but I was very disappointed like that they're really, I don't see a Sliver deck in the current standard with the cards that have been spoiled so far. But you know, this card makes me want to put in like either like a zombie deck or a human deck. Like I'm already like in my head, like I said, going black-white humans with the Door of Destinies, green-white humans with Door of Destinies, green-black zombies with Door of Destinies, elves with Doors of Destinies. And just for an example to show you how powerful Door is, let's say you are going with elves, who is just the rampy, you know, get up to like critical mass as quickly as possible. But the quote-unquote downfall of elves is that they're all like 1 toughness, 1 power, or 2 2s, maybe 3 3s at the bigger end. This card allows you to just play elves, because you're gonna say, let's say you turn 3 Door, because you're playing elves, so you obviously have some sort of ramp. So you turn 3 Door. Turn 4, you play, let's just say you have, make it easy, you have 4 Arbor Elves in hand. You lay all 4 Arbor Elves, and boom. You now have every one of your elves getting +4/+4. Not just the elves you played, all elves, because it's a static ability. So all the elves you played previously are now +4/+4, so the minimum they're at is 5/5s. How is a deck going to deal with 5/5 elves? I mean, it's just so good. If I sound like I'm having a mangasm, it's because I am very close. I freaking love this card. I will argue with anybody that this is the most powerful card in the entire set. So feel free to send your hate, whatever. I don't care. But again, these are all just, you know, my personal thoughts. Anyway, that was my top 10. Also, just to give a shout out, these lovely little graphics you're seeing are Kevin's, because I'm too lazy and not skilled and don't have the right programs to do this anyway. So I'm just sending them this as an audio file. So all the visuals that you've seen was his. But be on the lookout. We will be. I'll be talking with him later, and we'll see what we're going to do as far as the podcast goes. We are definitely going to wait till it gets spoiled, the entire set, and then I believe me, him, and I would probably suggest one other person will be doing like a podcast on the entire spoiled set and go into detail on a lot of these cards. But again, I hope you're as excited as I am. I will be honest, this is the first core set that I'm actually excited for. I usually do not like core sets at all. I've never core drafted, ever. I really... core sets are usually like, oh, look, they reprinted, Titans again, yay. Or, okay, this Thragtusk card seems very good, but the rest is kind of meh. But I am really, really, like, it was a crazy, like, this spoiler season, because I was just shocked at how many good things they threw out. The one thing I am very shocked at, like, in the opposite end, though, is there has been no birds, which was surprising. But again, that's kind of stuff we'll talk about hopefully during the podcast. As far as my content goes, I haven't had a lot of time. I've been working, trying to help Kevin get roguedeckbuilder.com up. Not physically, but like doing content for it. So, yeah. Anyway, this is MJ Conroy, aka Slithlord 066, and as far as the previous statements and everything I've said up until then, as Dennis Miller would say, these are all just my opinions. I could be wrong. And you guys have a great day.